lovelies, Moon Priestess Lucy here. So I actually just filmed a little silent comparison. So I compared this, which is the Borderless Rider Waite Smith with Centennial Edition versus this, which is the normal Centennial Edition, or the Rider Waite Smith, or Smith-Waite, or Pamela Coleman Smith, as many names as they want to give. And this one, the Radiant Wise. Here we have it. The Radiant Wise Tarot, which comes in a beautiful box. Very pretty box, actually. Yeah, I'm liking this. Like, it's not a two-piece, but like it opens like this. Majestic Earth is actually doing this type of box, which is neat. Not sure. I think my favorite box, I'll talk about favorite boxes in another video. Anyhow, stay on point. So what I want to highlight, but very briefly, no, not with each card. If you want to see each card, I'll link the videos, no, that have the silent. Sorry, my cat just like run over there. Anyhow, so if you want to watch the full cards comparison, I will link the videos, but those are silent. Here I just want to highlight some things. So as you will notice, well, let's first get to the technical part. So cardstock, both of these are really similar. This one, the Borderless, is a little bit thicker, and you can tell if we compare both the whole deck. How do we do this? Like this, sort of. Trying to do this in a manner that will show fairness. There we go. You can see, no? Definitely the Borderless is chunkier. And if we compare to the Radiant Wise, the Radiant Wise is chunkier as well. Now comparing chunky versus chunky. It's pretty even. Maybe the Borderless on the right, it's a little bit thicker. Another interesting thing is like the natural edging. No, because of the backs that you have these lilies and roses, you can see the colors throughout. And I think that's actually kind of nice. Like, I wouldn't etch this deck because it has like a natural edge feeling to it. I don't know, I found it cool. So that's for sturdiness. Now, of course, these two are matte, and this, as you can see, is glossy. It's not super glossy, but you can see some gloss there, right? Like here, like the reflection is almost null, and here you have a lot more reflection. But it's not, I mean, it's not really bad. And sizes, you can see this one, it's a little bit wider, the Radiant Wise, and a little bit taller, like barely. And same with this. Now the Borderless is a little bit wider and a tiny bit taller as well. No, so again, a little bit wider, but again, it's just like a tiny bit. But in any case, if you're making a custom box, just bear in mind that they are pretty much the same height. There are a slight difference. No, sometimes millimeters can make differences. Another thing that I want to point out is these two are borderless, but if you watch the comparison and if you watch it right now, no, if we look at these cards, this fool actually feels bigger, and it is because, and this is why I want the three of them, this borderless is actually pretty much the same size as this, but all the white border was extended. So you can see here, now you can see this long ray and then a tiny one. And then you can see it extends beyond that. So you have more rays of sun. No, you have like more water here. No, you have like a bigger space. Look at his hand and the space, and his hand is very, very close. But look at this borderless. This borderless actually enlarge the image. So actually this might be a little tighter than this one. No, his hand is almost touching the border. And the titles, well, they're not Pixie's original, no, there are other, but they removed the numbers from the major, so you have it down here. 0 the full instead of the 0 here. And I was actually pretty fond of this one, but then I mean, in some of the cards I don't mind the extension. US games, also these two are US games. This one is Los Scarebeo versus US games. So for example, here we have the copyright, no, in each card here. Not on this one, so the copyright is on the back. And this one doesn't have a copyright on the cards, which I think it's lovely. The copyright, I mean, US games is more indecent about it, but it's kind of tacky, you know? That's my opinion. But, so, in some of the cards, I don't mind, not that they took the creative liberty, as US games stated, to extend the borders. But on some of them, I do mind it. And here's one of the highlights I want to show. The Magician. So we can see that the roses are pretty much the frame of the card. But here, since they're extended, they didn't want to extend like the number of roses. I guess they didn't want to extend like the abundance significant. But then I lose the idea of this is like the actual frame. No, it's like your frame is gone, but then they're like floating in the air. Which is kind of like, and you can see here, no, like, Pixie's signature is here, and then it's like, just like white. No, so here it ends up much nicer, no, it matches with the border. Here we can barely see her signature, I'm sorry, I'm covering it with my hand. You can barely see it, it's down here, because they actually make the image larger, so we actually get a little bit, a chopped image, especially in the bottom. You can see it, no? See how much space there is for the table and all the lilies and roses, and here we don't have much space down at the bottom. In the full, it's actually not much that noticeable, like the space to the bottom, but in the Magician it is. No, just sort of like you are like losing the art a little bit, because when you enlarge the image, no, just to fit the same tarot card size, you're gonna have to make some compromises there. And here, this one looks like, okay, this was like the original drawing in this format, no, so this is what was kept. No, but I don't know. In this case, I actually prefer like losing a little bit than gaining sort of like white space that, I mean, it's if you're being picky, right? But I think it sort of loses the idea of this is your frame, no? And you have a frame of abundance. Here it's like you have a floating of abundance. Which is not a bad thing, it's just like it changes interpretation a little bit. So that's just like my being nitpicky about it. Another highlight, no, with the High Priestess is the weird shape. And people have mentioned this, no? The weird shape of the towers, which you don't have there, right? Here, because they are like not inventing or imagining like, well, how is this gonna look? You actually have a little less of the image. Now you can see it. Pixie signature here, and then you have a little space there, and then here, sorry, you have almost no space there. But here you have an extra ton of space on the right and on the left, and it's like, well, I don't know. I prefer the idea of the columns actually framing the card than just like having a ton of space, you know? And of course, I mean, the coloration, of course, is different, no? This is like radiant colors, which we can notice with the moon, for example, and we'll get there. I do want to highlight the Empress as well, because in this case, the Empress, you can see here, it's like, so what is this? This is like blank, nothingness. I don't know what they did there. Maybe they didn't want to make the stream bigger, or like the forest bigger. So I don't know what happened there, but it's like a void, or like nothingness, or like, I just don't know, like what's going on with that? Which again, no, you have here like a beautiful, like you can imagine, no, like she's in, like maybe this stream is like huge, and the forest is all surrounding, and you sort of lose it here. It's like, okay, it ends there. And here it's like, yes, this is what the card is framing, but there is so much more. And in this case, it's like without the borders, and I actually like her expression here a lot. Not all of, I mean, some of them I like them better in this edition, some of them in this one. But the expression of this Empress, I think it's lovely in this version. So, again, some things you gain, some things you lose. You can see Pixie's signature here, it's like chopped as well a little bit, no? Again, to enlarge the image, and actually don't have to add anything, no, to make it borderless. And then what I want to highlight now, we're gonna skip a few cards. Okay, yeah, let's go to the strength. This is one of my net picks as well, and I guess it's because it was Sacred Seeds. So if you're a fan, you watch her channel, you are gonna know about this. So if we go to strength, sorry, trying to keep this in order in my piles here. Anyhow, so if you're a fan of her, you will notice now that strength here, and it's the Albano Waite does the better work at this one. So this the Rosa's I forgot the word, Guirnalda, sorry. But this thing, no, that is going around her dress, and in the lion's mane, you can sort of see it there, no? You can sort of see some green, maybe a little red. No, a little. There you go. But you can see there's clearly something besides just the mane of the lion, which I think it's amazing, no? It's the same case here. But in here, they actually lost it. So that's a shame. No, it's tricky. No, because if this were in color, you wouldn't actually know that that's supposed to go around her, forming an infinite sign. But it's like, it's very significant, no? Like, this part of her dress or her outfit is actually bonding with the lion at a different level. And here you can see, no? Like, let me refocus. There we go. The infinite is almost touching now the edge of the card. And here we have a lot of space, more space here. No, here we almost lose a little bit of the leg, and here the leg was completed, no? Where here we can see like the little elbow is missing in terms of space and everything. So kudos for this version, no? To actually rescue that little detail, and it's a shame, no, that we lost it here. I also don't like that. I would prefer to have Pixie's calligraphy, but well, I guess that's a decent compromise. No, if you don't mind it so much. I mean, again, some people like some things, some people like other things. The HERMIT actually shows, no, the kind of different coloration, no, with the transition in the blue, which a lot of people love. But it's pretty much a simple card, no, so you just have extra space, so that wasn't very complicated. So let me jump into another card that I want to highlight. Let's look at the Hanged Man. Let's see there. So I'm glad here, for example, in the Hanged Man, that they actually extended, oops, getting Hanged Man, I'm already, yeah, there. So with the Hanged Man, there we go. With the Hanged Man, I'm actually glad that they extended this and they almost kept it, you know, to the extreme of the card, because I feel that's important. Now imagine if they just like chop this, that would be like new. So I'm glad that here they actually did the job to extend it, no, and you have it almost at the end, no, which is the same case here. So I like that one, for example, now that extended border, sorry. Then we can go into the moon, because the moon is so beautiful, right? I love it. The moon, that it's so close to a Marseille style. The star. The moon. So here again, you don't have much of like wasted space on the side. And here you have this moon that has a different, I mean, the coloration is different, no? This lobster crab animal, it's actually purple. But it pops, no? And you can see like the beautiful night sky here in the back, which I love it. No, and you can see the coyote and the dog, so it's very, very beautiful. Now, let me show some of the minors that I was also kind of looking. So for example, this Six of Wands, Six of Wands, and Six of Wands. So here, he's supposed to be on a horse, and the horse has this clothes on top of him, right? But here he's extended, and it's like sort of a leg of the horse, but sort of, I don't know, it just becomes a little, I don't know, just like too big, like disproportionate, I would say. And here it's like you can see like a better, proportion of where it ends. And here, well, of course, it's a little. So you can see here we have the two ears, and here we're actually losing one. So, I mean, there are some, again, some compromises there, no? That we're actually losing some of the art that to make it bigger and fit the card. Another one that I want to highlight. I think I want to take a look at the King of Wands. So let's go to our King of Wands, Queen, King, and our King there. So in this case, I like how the coloration is like popping, like the salamanders and such. So I do like that. And you can see pretty much here there is not, I mean the space is there, but there is no much. Since there was like not a ton of space with stuff, I think they do a good job when there is like just the sky or nothing much else to complete. Which makes sense, no? It's easier. Then I want to go, I want to show Pentacles. Oh, but let's look at the Two of Swords, because the Two of Swords also has that gorgeous, gorgeous back, like night sky. Oh, just look at it. It's just so beautiful. No, I like how they color the ocean and the sky and the moon. It's just so very beautiful. But again, it's like different colorations, and that's just a personal taste. But we can see with the swords, these swords are right on the edge. These swords have extra space, and then here we actually miss, no, the tips of the swords. So if you are like very, very strict and classical, you will go with this one. It has the border, yes, and if you don't like it, I guess you can trim it yourself. But you actually keep the original intention of the artist on what's framing, no, the exact border. And in this case, I guess it's very, well, not, I'm gonna say it's like very important, but it's like these two swords are what are framing, no, that border. So just thought we should mention that. And then looking here, I think we want to go to the I think cups. We can look at the 10 of Cups. I do want to highlight a lot of the Pentacles, because Pentacles has like a lot of action there. So let's go to the 10 of Cups. Our little 10 of Cups. Beautiful Ace of Cups. 8, 9, 10. There we go. So in here again, no, the rainbow was extended, but it sort of ends in a weird way. And I think here you have a much better, no, like, because they have to keep the curvature, but then it sort of like ends sort of, I don't know, it feels a little weird. No, and here you have just like a natural, but you almost like here you are almost losing one cup, right? So it's just like, okay, how much you can actually trim. And yeah, here in the minors you actually have the normal calligraphy sign, so it's like, I would like to like a more original calligraphy static there. So let's go to some of the Pentacles. Oh yeah, for example, the 3 of Pentacles, which they added and I think Lisa from Tarot Alchemist, but the lovely Lisa, which just created her book, puts this, mentions this here, no? So the card cuts here, and you're not sure if there's like a triangle, like a peak or something. Here they sort of decided to chop it and add more brick. But it's like, what if it was a pointy triangle, right? Which, I don't know, if it makes sense in my sort of aesthetic, not just like chop it there. So that's one of like, yeah, maybe that creative, no, license wasn't like the best. Here, let's look at the 9 of Pentacles. So I think here they did a good job of extending the abundance. No, they sort of weren't afraid to actually go with it and just like make it full green. No, of course we have 2 towers and we don't know if there were more towers or not. Of course they didn't decide to add them, but that's sort of like, yeah, okay. I do prefer, no, having this definitive cut there. And here, yeah, we have only like 1 tower, for example. No, but you can see she definitely feels bigger, no, because it was like expanded to be borderless. And then, for example, here in the 10, we again have that white space problem, no, which is like, look at all these, like pretty much the kittens here, and in such a card that I think it's implying the abundance and the family, then you have like space here. It's like, so they are cramming together because I guess they do love each other very, very much. But it's sort of like, I don't know, there's a lot of white space. here, on the contrary, it's like the kit barely fits there, right? But it actually, I think it gives me, you know, the sense of like cramming up together. I don't know, like a lot of like the VC things, no? But I don't have the white space that distracts me. Which again, no, it can work depending on how you read the cards and if you like it or not. I'm just saying, like, well, they added that and it's different from the naturalness of the card, if you know what I mean. And I guess just to round it up, let's look at, yes, sorry, two more, the Queen and the King, because the Queen has a similar problem to our lovely Magician. So the Magician, you know, with that framing, here again, no, we have the frame, but it's sort of, again, floating in nothingness, which is sort of like, you know, I'm not too keen on that. Maybe there was like a bigger or something, but just like the floating in nothingness is just like, I don't know. I don't like it a lot. And actually, thanks to this coloration, I actually noticed that there is a bunny. No, like, I don't know if each queen has a companion. I'll look into that. But for example, the Queen of Wands with the famous black cat, right? But yeah, I'm just noticing the bunny there. Hello, little bunny. And last but not least, our King. And here in this King, I think they were a little afraid to fill it up. No, because this castle actually feels really chopped. And then here we have just like black. No, so here I think they weren't that confident just to extend the abundance. No, they were sort of like, well, this is the abundance we have and let's keep it there. Whether this you can see, no, the abundance is filling the entire card, which I get here, and I like the coloration highlights the grapes more, so you get a little bit more of definition. Of course, there are many other colorations that do that better, but you get that. So I'm liking that. I'm actually liking it. So there you go. And then for the backs, which is now that flower, the rose, no, with this like blue aqua thing, then this green one, and then the beautiful roses and lilies, no, in the red and white, which is like one of my favorite backs. That pattern, because there are like patterns that have them like not as small, but I actually love that they're like that size of the pattern. So yeah, these are my favorite backs for the Rider Waite Smith Tarot deck. Not the plaid, I just like the plaid feels very plain. So yeah, these are like my opinions on these three versions. I especially just wanted to point out the difference between borderless editions, but of course our little helper, no, to clarify those borderless was the Centennial, which I think is one of the best editions, and I do have my tin, which I think it's super lovely, practical, and everything now. But if you want a standard tarot size, well, now you have those borderless options, which I want to point out are quite different in not just the coloration, but the size of the artwork, and which this feels bigger, yes, because you don't have a border, but you can see pretty much is the same size. Like if you see the face and the pentacle, it's pretty much the same size, and then they decided to color the border, no, to fill it out with art. And in here you actually get like a zoom, no, to the art, but just bear in mind that some things were chopped, because either lose some, gain some, that's life. So I hope you like, let me know your comments, which edition you like better. I know there are like a ton, like, I don't know, 1,000 more. I'm not a collector, I did this because a friend requested so. None of these are mine, actually. This one is from a relative. This one is because a friend, like her order was mixed because she actually wanted this and they sent me that one, anyhow. And this one, because I was really trying to look for the coloration. I want to do, I think another friend of mine has the, like the Pamela Coleman Smith, the one with borders in this coloration, but in Spanish. So I'm gonna see if she can lend me her deck for a couple days so I can do a comparison. And yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised, and I might actually keep it. I'm not a fan of like not keeping the original calligraphy of Pixie, no, and just having like, yeah, just like random calligraphy there. But other than that, I really like it, like the coloration and the highlights. So in any case, this one is really nice as well. Anyhow, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, lovelies.